Hello, thank you for joining our FlippingBook live class HTML5 publications. My name is Jerry, I'll be your host for today, and in this webinar I will show you what HTML5 publications are, how you can use them in your business. But since you came here, you are most likely an existing user of FlippingBook, and up to now you have been using Flash publications. So we will pay some special attention to differences between Flash publications and HTML5 publications. We will also show you how you can convert your existing projects to HTML5 projects. In this webinar, which will last, well, it should not last more than half an hour for the demonstration part, we will show you all those things, and after that you have the possibility to ask questions. In fact, you have already the possibility to ask questions during the webinar about anything you see, but I will answer them after the presentation part. A final introductory announcement is that we have put your microphones on mute, unfortunately, because experience tells us that there's always someone having a radio playing on the background, or colleagues, or some problems distracting the other attendees from the webinar. So let's get started. The first topic, why would you use HTML5 publications? Well, the reason is basically depicted in this graph. For Flash publications, the ones that you used in the past, we required a browser with Flash Player plugin. And this graph shows how many of our visitors have Flash Player plugin disabled. So as you can see, from the start of this year, the first week, that went up from about 11% to, well, almost 55% in the last time that we measured. So that's basically for two reasons. One is that browsers stop enabling Flash Player by default. So Google for Chrome has disabled Flash by default. Apple has done that in Safari. Microsoft is planning to do that in the next big update of Windows for Microsoft Edge. And the second reason is that network administrators have also disabled Flash on their network policies. So Flash had a bit of a security reputation of fixing their problems slowly, and that caused administrators to disable Flash for their users regardless of browser support. So what does that mean? Does that mean that nobody can see Flash anymore? No, that's not true. 45% have still disabled Flash by default. They will still see your existing Flash publications. The others, it depends a little bit. They may see a basic HTML version of your publication, and they may see a question asking them if they want to enable Flash. So those 55% that have Flash disabled by default will have either a decision to make or no decision at all. But let's take a look at what they see. So here we have Internet Explorer, and here we have one of our publications, our Quick Start Guide. Normal publication in Flash, looks fine, flips, and here we have the same version in Firefox, and in Firefox we have disabled Flash Player. So as you can see here, there's no page flipping, there's no neat background. If it loads, then you see some fonts are quite different from the original document. And that is basically due to the reason why did we develop this basic HTML version in the first place. Well, that was really as a last resort, because up till a year ago, well, it was no more than 3% that did not have Flash Player. So this was really a last resort, and its prime goal was to make a search engine friendly version of your publication. So this text could easily be indexed by search engines, whereas the Flash version that we see here could not. So that was the main goal of our basic HTML version. But as it turns out, now a substantial part of your audience sees that basic HTML version instead of the page flipping version. So what have we done about it? Well, since November 2016, we have introduced an alternative method in FlippingBook Publisher, and that's creating HTML5 publications. HTML5 is a completely different technology, and as with all technologies, there are pluses and minuses to both. So a big plus, of course, is that HTML5 works in all browsers without any plugin, so users will always see the beautiful version. The minuses are that the HTML5 version is not quite as polished yet as the Flash version was. We worked on the Flash version for 12 years, and the HTML5 version required us basically to completely rebuild our publisher to use the HTML5 format. Of course, there are things that we could reuse, but it was really a renovation of the foundations of our software. So HTML5 is not in all aspects quite as polished as Flash yet. A second downside of HTML5 is due to the way it converts, it creates much larger files. So if you use FlippingBook Cloud, then that's no issue at all. If you use your own server, then it depends a little bit on your publication, but Flash is just an extremely efficient file format. So especially if you have publications with lots of pages and lots of text in it, then in Flash those are very efficient, and in HTML5 much less so. So those are the big differences in technology. Now let us look at some actual publications next to each other in Flash and in HTML5. So this is the first one, and let's start right at the loading screen because this publication is already loaded, but let's reload it here and reload it here. As you can see, in Flash we use this preloader logo. Depending on your edition, that was either our logo or your own logo, and in HTML5 we use the first page and the title, and it fills up very quickly. As you can see, the preloader is much quicker in HTML5 than in Flash. But the downside is if you had your own logo there, then you cannot add that again. It just shows your first page for now. A second noticeable difference is the layout, which has changed a bit. Now, this is not especially related to HTML5. This is a change, and I will outline it here. Did you see the outer border that we have here? Well, actually, back in 2015, we already changed the design of the publication to this new layout, even in Flash. But this publication is a very old one, so it still had the old design. But as you can see, we have removed this outer border and to give a little bit more space to your content itself. And we have restyled the menus on the top and bottom a little bit to look a little bit more modern. So this is not specifically a change to HTML5 or Flash, but the way that skins work is a little bit different. So let's look at the page flipping effect itself. As you can see, that's very similar. You can drag pages and they flip just fine on both sides. So the conversion is done automatically, and as you can see, it looks pretty much the same, as well as the content of your document itself. But there are also some differences. As you can see, the icons here have become more condensed, there's less of them, and that's because we have moved this navigation interface to the publication itself. So now we have arrows over here to go to the next page, previous page, first and last, and the slideshow option has been removed altogether. Another option that has not returned in HTML5 is bookmarks, which of course is a native feature of the browser, though, truth be told, we may bring that back in a future edition, as apparently there was a group of users who really liked the feature. As of yet, that's not possible. So this is the first publication. As you can see, it looks very similar in both formats. Let's take a look at another publication, which we see here, which is a wine catalog. Again, largely the same on both sides. We have a hardcover on the first page. And that works here as well. And as you can see in this catalog on the left hand side and right hand side, we have links embedded. So the creator of this catalog added links to his own website. So you click on the wines and they would open. And as you can see, that is converted automatically as well. Let's go back to the publication. Again, as you can see, the menus are a little bit restyled to the modern settings, but basically the publications themselves look very similar. Another difference though is that in Flash we had the option to select text. So you click on the T, select some text, and then copy that and paste it in another document. That option is not available yet. It will return later this year, but as of now it's not possible to copy and paste text from your documents. Let's look at a third example. This one is a real estate brochure. As you can see, because this publication used transparent panels on top and border, they are almost completely identical in look and feel. And if we flip to the next page, then here again we see interactive elements. Here the designer of the publication added images. So if you clicked on that, it would load a pop-up image of, in this case, the garden. And here it is too. Or this is probably the kitchen. Let's check that. And as you can see, any pop-up images that you added to your publication are converted to HTML5 automatically as well. Let's take a look at another one. In this case, we have an annual report, and that had a table of contents showing up by default. So here you can see that the table of contents is there in exactly the same format, but there is a rather big difference in layout. And that is because in Flash we had a very detailed skin editor, which allowed you to fine-tune every setting until details that most users never ever used, apart from a little bit of color. So the skin editor has been removed, and we have reduced the number of options to change the appearance of your publication. But this was a conscious design decision, because the skin editor for many users was really confusing. And with our current scheme, it's much easier to create a coherent look. So whatever colors you change, they will always look well when compared to one another. Whereas in the skin editor here, it was very easy to make a color and then lose it and or have a transparency setting applied to it, and you could never find it back. So for some users this will be a loss, and for others it will be a blessing. I will, by the way, show you how you can post-process your publications a little bit to bring it a little bit more in line with how it was. Let's check something else here, because as you can see, this publication had embedded video in it. So if we clicked on that, a video started playing, and that video gets automatically extracted as well. So again, a publication that's mostly similar, but the most noticeable difference here is the color of the table of contents. And I will show you later how you can adjust it. And the final publication that I want to show you today is this market forecast, which have thumbnails enabled by default. As you can see, they are on both sides. And this one didn't have the page flipping effect. It had single page layout with a sliding effect. So you could click to slide to the next page, and it had internal links to it so that you could click on them to go to another page. As you can see, that's also an exact copy of the Flash version with hardly no differences noticeable. So those are some real-life examples showing the Flash version compared to the HTML5 version. There are two things that I have not mentioned yet, and I should mention I could not find good examples right away, but in Flash we had the option to add a background sound to your publications. In HTML5 that's not possible yet either. It was very rarely used, so it received a little bit lower priority, but it should return in the coming months. So in a month or two you will probably be able to add HTML5 publication, add sounds to your HTML5 publications as well. Another feature which will not return was the built-in shopping cart. So in the Flash you could build a complete shopping cart and have users select produce from your catalogs and buy it. Now that sounds awesome. I assume that you didn't use it, and if you actually have used it, then you will probably agree with me that it had a lot of problems. So here we were faced with the decision, do we completely rebuild it or do we leave it alone? And then we looked at how many users actually used it and were satisfied with it, and then we decided to drop it completely. So e-commerce in the form as it was will not return. We may add something similar like product information in a pop-up, but a complete checkout mechanism will not return in HTML5 publications. So in short, HTML5 and Flash are not exactly the same, but they are very similar, as you could see in the examples. And they are certainly much more similar than the basic HTML version compared to the Flash version, as we saw here. So that's our comparison of Flash publications and HTML5 publications. Now let's go to FlippingBook Publisher to take a more detailed look at how we can convert from one format to another. So here we have our quick start guide online, and now let's open FlippingBook Publisher where I have the project opened already. So as you can see, the interface is still very similar to the old Flash interface, and as a matter of fact you still have the option to make Flash projects as well in this version, but if you open a Flash project, then you will have a button over here called Convert to HTML5. Let's press on that. Then it says time to move to HTML5 and start conversion. So this starts the conversion wizard, and as you can see here, it's already working. It also shows that there is one issue with this publication, and if we click on this, it unfolds a warning with some settings which are not supported. What happens right now is that we make a copy of our project. So let's take a look at our directory. Here we had our quick start guide flash.p2fp file. So this was our Publisher 2 Flash project file. This is the one that we had opened in Publisher. What we do now when we convert it is we make a backup copy of your Flash project. So the Flash project itself is not touched, and we make a new file from it on this very same place called the p2hp. So we do a complete reconversion of your document. Now this was our quick start guide, It is only 14 pages. It's not very complicated. But if you have a catalog that is 200-300 pages, then this may take more time, because every page individually is converted again. So we're done now, and we can open our project, which is now an HTML5 project. In the meantime, let's go back to our folder over here, and as you can see, our project is now called quickstartguideflash.p2hp, an HTML5 project. And for the attentive visitors, they will notice that here we have created a folder called Flash to HTML5 backups, and this one contained our old quickstartguideflash.p2fp file. So on the exact same place we have replaced the Flash project with an HTML project, but we have created a copy in the backup folder. Now, as you can see, the copy in HTML5 looks very similar, but it had a very similar effect as the one that we saw the annual report with the table of contents, which had not the same color. And as we can see here, it is possible to select a different color, for example this one, and apply it. And let's also, because the header was a little bit more dark, so let's change that to a little bit darker variant and click OK. And then you will see that the appearance is pretty similar again to the one that we had here. Let's bring it up with the darker background and an even darker header. So there is still some leeway to fine-tune your publications after conversion if you don't like them. As you will see, these colors are also applied to all pop-up windows that we have here. So that is the plus side of this approach, that you will always have a coherent look within your publication. So that's how you convert your existing Flash project to an HTML5 project. Now, if you used our FlippingBook Cloud to host your publication, then it's very simple to get it online again too, because we have the functionality called upload, and in old versions that was called publish, but it's basically a new name for exactly the same. And here we see that you have the option to update your document immediately on the cloud. So it will keep exactly the same link, and you can convert Flash to HTML5 directly. If you don't want it for some reason, then you can simply save this project with a new name. So let's save this as HTML5. And if you then want to upload it, it will not ask you to update, it will just ask you to upload to FlippingBook Cloud with a new name. So it will also get a new link online. If you did not use FlippingBook Cloud, but you use your own server, then basically nothing has changed, apart from that it was called Publish and the button was located here, and in the latest version it's called Upload and the button is the last step on the end. And here the version to my server is the format to HTML option. So if you click that, it doesn't upload anything as a matter of fact. It just generates all the files that make up your FlippingBook to your local computer, and you can then upload them manually with FileZilla or another FTP program. So here are all the files that together make up your HTML5 Flipbook. And we also had the option to upload directly to your server using our built-in FTP client. So basically nothing has changed compared to using Flash. Apart from converting a single document, it's also possible to convert multiple documents at once. And if we close a project, then here we will see this option. Here in the menu on the left hand side we have the option to convert projects to HTML5, and here we can add several projects for batch conversion. As I said, if you have catalogs that are a couple of 100 pages long, then reconversion takes a lot of time. So it may save you some time or frustration by doing that overnight. And here you can add multiple projects. So in this folder I have prepared a couple to demonstrate. And here we can click on a project, and using the standard Windows possibilities to add multiple, if I press the Shift key and then the last project, it will select all of them. And if I select a project and press the if I select a project and press the Control key, then it will select that second file too. When I've selected all my files, I can click on Open, and here I see any warnings that relate to this project, and I can start the conversion. So this is a very useful option to create several projects at once. I would, by the way, not recommend to convert hundreds of projects at once if you have that money, that much, or even dozens. I would keep it to about 5, because after the conversion you will still have to re-upload them anyway, and if you have hundreds of projects at the same time, it's very easy to lose track of them. Still, it is a very useful tool to do a lot of work while you are away from your computer. So that is what I wanted to demonstrate you today. To summarize, much as we loved our Flash projects and we were very proud of them, support for Flash is going down, and as a matter of fact the situation will get worse, it will not get better. So that means that more and more people will see the basic HTML version of your publications. To mitigate that, we have developed HTML5 as an alternative. It's not an exact copy yet, though we will keep on improving it in the coming months, and HTML5 will only get better. As you can see, publications are converted rather simply using our wizard and look very much like the original Flash version. So finally, let's take a look at what you need to create HTML5 publications, and to go that, let's go to our account online. So if we go to flippingbook.com, then here I am already logged in, but if you're not, you can log in here and see your current license of FlippingBook Publisher. So I'm using the latest version 2.8.16. If you have any 2.8 version, then it will already be possible for you to create HTML5 publications yourself. So if you log into your account, then you can check here which version you have available. If it's 2.8 point something, then you can create HTML5 publications. If you have 2.8.16, then you can also use our built-in converter to convert your Flash projects to HTML5. If not, then your subscription is probably expired. To use the latest version, you will need an active subscription, which, by the way, is considerably cheaper than buying a completely new license. So in case you were considering that, please check your account and renew your subscription, because in most cases renewing a subscription is about 50% cheaper than an equivalent new license. After renewing, you can immediately download FlippingBook Publisher, upgrade it on your computer and start using it. So that's all I wanted to say to you today. That's all I wanted to show you today. Let's see. This one is done. Let's see if there are any questions from during the webinar. Yes, we have Ryan. Ryan, I have the 2.4.33 version of FlippingBook Publisher and I'm not seeing an option to convert to HTML5. Ah, yes, we answered that. Thanks for the question, Ryan. And yeah, just answered that. Let's see if we have any other questions upcoming. We have a question incoming from Barbara. She also has an old version and just directory, not the projects. I'm not exactly sure, Barbara. Do you mean that you have deleted your projects from your computer? Because in that case, I am afraid if they are only online, I am afraid there's no way to get them back other than creating them again. So, for example, let me quickly show it. If you have a Flash project online, like this one here, then the only way to recreate it is to download the PDF. Download the PDF, and then you can create a new project in it in FlippingBook Publisher, but I am afraid there is no other way. Because it's not possible, if you have the output files, the generated files, it's not possible to convert them back to a project. So I'm sorry about that. I see no further questions at this moment. I want to remind you, of course, that if you have any questions, you can always contact us later as well on our website flippingbook.com. We have our contacts form over here where you can leave us a question, a callback request, or start an online chat with any of our employees. And by the way, if you want to try it out, how it works for you, then you can also download the trial version. Let's see where that is located, of FlippingBook Publisher by trying it for free. Be careful though, if you download it on the same computer as where your licensed version is installed, then it will overwrite it. So if you want to see how HTML5 publications work out for you, please go to products and then try it for free. Sign up with a new email address, download it. It's no problem at all, and you can make an HTML5 version of your project. Well, it looks like those were all the questions for today. To close it down and to give you a last chance to give a shout out if you have some more questions, I want to remind you that later this week I will send a video recording of one of the sessions that we made, because we have several sessions planned of this demonstration, and you will get a video recording as well, so you can review it at your leisure. And that, I think, closes our demonstration for today. So thank you very much for your attention. Good luck with your flipping books. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Bye bye.